on the lines. Bag's empty. I nodded to the canvas pouch that had held the wooden cone plugs. And the adze needs sharpening. She gave a quick nod, turning on her heel and disappearing up the dock. Well? The helmsman waited. I looked up to the featherback one last time. The hull was spotted with patches from stern to bow. Yeah, this ship was definitely going to sink. Stay out of the shallows, even when the winds aren't too high, I said. One scrape, and that hull will breach. I'd also keep anything valuable you're trading fitted with floats and tied down up on the decks. That cargo hold is a disaster waiting to happen. His mouth twisted to one side, but he eventually nodded. The man wasn't a fool. All right, what do I owe you? I pulled the ledger from where it was tucked into the back of my pants, flipping through the wrinkled pages. That's 11 shot plugs, the pitch, the work. I did the math in my head. 42 coppers should do it. The helmsman was already pulling one of the coin purses from his belt. He counted, mouth moving silently around the numbers. Behind him, the harbor was busy. 9 of the 14 bays were filled with everything from schooners to cutters to a large brig from Saros stopping on its way to Sagsay-Holm. The Jevalis hadn't been happy when Koy showed up with me and my coin to launch a port on their island, and they hadn't let me forget it. But there was no denying the transformation underway on Jeval. When I'd first arrived, there'd been only dredgers hawking pyre on these docks, with the exception of a few women selling guinea fowl eggs and kids trading polished abalone shells for scraps of food. Now, there were hucksters who walked the bays with Jevali-made palm rope and island-forged iron riggings that every ship had need for. There was even a young sailmaker who'd left the island and apprenticed in Sowan and was now setting up shop next to my post. It had been almost 7 months since we finished the new docks that encircled the Barrier Islands, and the first opening bell of the merchant's house had rung just 6 weeks ago. There was only room enough for 12 stalls inside, and not all of them were even filled most days, but in another year, it would be a different story. There you go. The helmsman dropped the purse into my hand, and I nodded, tucking it into my vest. The feeling had come back into my legs, but my stomach was already twisting with hunger. Even so, it would be hours before I got a chance to sit down and have a meal. I snaked through the bodies on the docks, headed for the brig in the distance. The ship's crew members were quadruple those of the other vessels that docked here, which meant there was copper on its way into a lot of Jevali pockets. It was the second time the well-known Iris had docked, and with luck, the helmsman would spread the word about the growing enterprise we were building, as long as the Jevalis didn't do anything to muck it up before they left. I shouldered past the crowd of dredgers waiting in line at the merchant's house, and found my way to the end of the harbor, where Fret set up his makeshift stall each morning. He sat on an overturned barrel behind a little wooden table that was littered with rare seashells and bits of valuable coral. Any luck today? I asked, leaning against the post. I kept my distance, eyes on the highest rise of the island. It was in both of our best interests not to draw attention to our arrangement. Here and there, he rasped. Never underestimate the power of a good story, Willa. It can sell the most worthless piece of junk to any fool. I smirked. He had a knack for conjuring up old sea tales about a rusted piece of metal from a famed ship, or a mythical creature who'd lost a tooth. There was at least one bastard a day who gave in to temptation and bought whatever he was selling. Anything else of note? I asked. His bottom lip jutted out as he thought. Other than the number of times I've heard your name mentioned in somewhat unsavory conversation? Yes, I exhaled. Other than that. Then no, nothing of note. I scanned the docks, eyes flitting from one sun-leathered body to the next. I hadn't been able to win the Jevalis over, but that didn't